Welcome to Kevin's Corner. This is where truth is diligently sought, deliberately taught, and dauntlessly defended. My name is Kevin Probst, and I come to you on this 22nd day of February to discuss how Christians ought to react to the revelations that are coming out of Epstein's island. Should we pray for God to be merciful? Or should we pray for the cup of his wrath to overflow upon those who participated in such dark depravity? Since the Epstein files have been released, I have felt confused, a bit conflicted. The atrocities committed are too evil to talk about or to write about. It is painful, even frightening, to believe that people in our modern society and in our civilized world are capable of participating in such dark and evil rituals. I've often read of the 14th king of Judah, Manasseh, in 2 Kings 21. He was King Hezekiah's eldest son, who ascended to the throne at the tender age of 12 and reigned over the kingdom of Judea for 55 years in the 7th century before Christ. Manasseh reversed the religious reforms of his father and introduced pagan cults into the kingdom and demanded the worship of foreign gods. Manasseh gave himself to the worship of Moloch, who may be another name for Baal. Moloch represented the darkest creature of the underworld, the demons of Satan himself. Moloch was depicted with a man's body having the head of a bull, and children were sacrificed to the pagan gods by placing them in the arms of Moloch until, writhing and turning, they tumbled into the fire below. Manasseh sacrificed his son in the fire, practiced witchcraft and divination, and consulted with mediums and spiritists. He did a huge amount of evil in the Lord's sight, angering him. That's in 2 Kings 21:6. We read this and deem it incomprehensible, something that happened nearly 3,000 years ago among a pagan people, but not something that could happen in our modern civilized world. However, we offer our children to our modern Molochian idols. We willingly destroy life in the womb for convenience, to live more comfortably financially, to eliminate a burden that may prohibit us from ascending the ladder of professional success. Did you know that over 2,350 babies are aborted daily in the United States? More than 63 million unborn babies have died since Roe v. Wade in 1973. And recently, a Presbyterian pastor blasphemously declared that God would bless those who choose to end life in the womb. Reverend Rebecca T. Peters uttered these words from the sacred pulpit: "Abortion is a moral good. Abortion is an act of love. Abortion is an act of grace. And finally, abortion is a blessing." Are we any less pagan than they were in the days of Manasseh? What sort of sinful depravity took place on Epstein's island? Was it as sinister and satanic as it's being made out to be? In his book, The Gathering Storm, Winston Churchill referenced Moloch as he addressed Hitler's rise to power. This is what he said: "He had conjured up the fearful idol of an all-devouring Moloch, of which he was the priest and incarnation." Was Jeffrey Epstein a priest and incarnation of Moloch? Will we ever know the depth of evil and depravity that took place on his island? Do we really want to know? Will the names of those who participated be released? How should Christians pray? That is the question. If these souls are as dark as has been said, is it appropriate for Christians to pray for the cup of God's wrath to overflow upon such satanic beings? Or are we obligated to pray for God to show mercy and grace? There are many biblical references to prayers for the wrath of God being uttered. Consider Hosea 5:10. "I will pour out my wrath on them, the princes of Judah, like water." If this is God's intent, if this is what he says he will do, are we not justified in prayer? His will be done. Did David not pray for the wrath of God in Psalm 5:10? Punish them, God, he said. Let them fall by their own schemes. Drive them out because of their many crimes, for they rebel against you. Did Jesus not instruct his own disciples? When you leave the homes of those who refuse to hear the truth, shake the dust off your feet. However, is the grace and mercy of God not sufficient for the salvation of the souls of even the most evil and corrupt among us? Did Christ not also admonish us to love and pray for our enemies? Did the Apostle Paul, who identified himself as chief among sinners, not receive grace from a merciful God? Did not Christ, as he was nailed to the cross by those who would do the work of Satan, not offer forgiveness to his murderers? By the way, it seems Manasseh, as evil as he was, found mercy in the eyes of God. In 2 Chronicles 33:12 and 13, we find him bound with chains and hooks in a Babylonian prison, and in great distress he turned to God and sought the favor of the Lord his God and earnestly humbled himself before the God of his ancestors. He prayed to him, and the Lord was receptive to his prayer. Shall Christians pray for wrath or for mercy? Paul reminds us of what God said to Moses. I will show mercy to whom I will show mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. That's Romans 9:15. How shall we pray? As Jesus taught us to pray. Thy will be done. Thank you so much for taking time from your busy day and allowing me to share with you from Kevin's Corner. Please help me share truth with others by liking and sharing this video. Also, please subscribe to Kevin's Corner on YouTube and Substack. And until next time, live bravely and courageously.